around the future of route to market in Indonesia. It's a country that's spread across almost 17,000 islands with almost 180 million consumers, quite large in its nature, right? Its geography is almost as diverse as its culture, and reaching the right consumer and having the right moment and winning their basket is a huge struggle for the retail industry. So when you're encountered with this challenge, it's very daunting, and that's why you need leaders like we have on the panel, who I'll introduce joining me today, to sort of build and help you innovate and actually formulate your entire route to market landscape so that you can build a lot of joyful profits across these markets. Without further ado, let me introduce our first speaker, Mr. Charlie Pramana. He's the head of IT of Japan and Korea for Reckitt, and he's also the regional product manager for modern trade execution in the entirety of Southeast Asia. Charlie is a technology architect with an extensive experience in both the healthcare and personal care industry. He enjoys creating business value and growth through technology initiatives and capabilities. Welcome once again, Charlie, to our webinar.
Thanks, Abhishek. Hello, everyone.
Great.
Nice to meet you all.
Our next speaker, by the way, is another digital transformation supply chain expert, and he has almost 10 years in the industry. His name is Kishore Kumar. He's an entrepreneur at his heart, and he has a passion for sales. He's the country head for Bizom in Indonesia and for the entirety of APAC, and he's really played a key role in spearheading our market expansion to really increase top line growth. Thank you once again, Kishore, for joining us.
Hey, thanks, Abhishek. Hello, everyone. Selamat siang.
Great. Next, we also have Mr. Grahayuda Prasetya. He's the Vice President of Sales for FKS Group, another innovator and problem solver at heart. And he's been spearheading FMCG growth for more than 20 years, and so many more to come, we hope. Great to have you once again, Mr. Prasetya.
Thank you, everyone. So it's a good time as well. I would love to share to you all what the experience that I have.
Great. And finally, last but not the least, is our speaker, Alex de Vries. His description is so big. He's an author, he's an entrepreneur, he's also a reputed FMCG expert with almost 27 years of experience across multiple industries. Alex now enjoys building new ventures and helping businesses grow and prospering them and sort of mentoring them. Thank you once again, Alex, for joining us. Great to have you as well.
Thanks for having me.
Right. So now that we've done away with the introductions, we can jump into the meat of the webinar. Alex, would love to start with you. Right. First question that I had for you is very related to consumer behavior. Right. So, what are some of the changes that you see in consumer behavior that could actually impact route to market strategies for your brands and a lot of the other brands in the coming months of what's left of 2024?
Yeah, okay, thanks. I basically, it's not a trend that just started this year, basically, but I think you would have to look at it in the context of omni-channel. Basically, how we are communicating with our customers, how we are engaging with our customers. So, like in the past, in the good old days, let's say when I started, you basically would, make sure that you'd have your first store was the most important, your first distribution basically would be important. Now I think the all focus has really shifted towards the online being I think the first layer where you make sure your entire range is available for everybody to purchase. So fringe items basically. You see after the pandemic, so 2023 last year was a horrible year for e-commerce. I think in general. This year it's still not great, but it's picking up and it's here to stay. So I think that's probably the biggest paradigm shifts since 2020, I think, till now. And I think it will be here to stay, even though it's only 0.5% of the total FMCG market, total grocery market, basically in Indonesia. So maybe like 1.5 million people are shopping through quick commerce and e-commerce. Then, yeah, basically you see online also being the benchmark for pricing. So like a lot of people are looking at, where is actually in the past you would check all the supermarkets basically for various special offers. Now online also is riddled with that sort of stuff. And that's the benchmark also for offline retailers to say, hey, what should I actually use as pricing strategy or my margin strategy basically. And one important thing to mention as well, before I take up all the time of my colleague who is also answering this question, I think volume is shifting more to non-official resellers online. So you have your official store, and then non-official resellers are, I would say, official store probably is more towards, okay, you set a benchmark price, and then the non-official resellers are actually the one that drive the volume because they can undercut your official store basically, either with your permission or without. Very difficult to control. We noticed at least in my clients, basically, it's quite difficult. With all pricing policies aside, core of course of any engagement with a consumer is like that your brand is visible and available. So available, I would say, that's still where offline retail plays a very big part in the equation. Thank you. This is where I stop talking.
No, interesting, quite insightful. So both with the online side of things and those unconventional sort of retailers. Grahayuda, or I can maybe address you as Pras. Any inputs that you have on that question as well that you'd like to sort of share with us?
Basically, what Alex mentions is most on the future of retail route to markets. The point of digitalization and e-commerce growth, that shift towards online shopping and e-commerce is likely to continue, driven by convenience and safety concerns and improved technology. But then again, the personalization and customization is the most important one, that when consumers are seeking more personalized and customized experience, both online and offline, brands can leverage data analytics. So without further ado as well, I'm going to share the basics of route to market. At the end, that's what the brands love to do and want to get the objectives of having numerical distributions in Indonesia. So I'm just going to go through speed times because brands facing so much challenges in Indonesia of route to market. A lot of complexities happening in Indonesia route to market. It involves of distribution channels, cultural diversities, regulatory competitions, and up to government relation as well. So we need to navigate these challenges and requires a careful planning, local insight, and flexibilities. So, by collaborating with experienced partners and continuously adapting strategies based on market dynamics are the key success to Indonesia route to market. So I'm not going to go through details. We need a lot of time to go through details, but at the end, we just need to specifically, specify our problems into several things. So, but how to get out ordinary RTM trap? So the thing is, we have to being agile in your to-market approach because it's very essential for navigating the dynamics that ever-changing landscape in the Indonesian market. The supply chain optimization as well is essential for maximizing efficiencies, to reduce costs and improvising overall performance and brand differentiations. And implementing a customer-centric approach in your to-market strategy is essential for our success in Indonesian diverse and dynamic market. But then again, integrating your brand strategy with your to-market approach can create a cohesive and compelling brand experience. So what I'm going to share is study case small on Ferrero. What Ferrero did is they tried to sell Ferrero Rocher and Bueno, which is the expensive kind of treats of confectionery category in Indonesia. But what they're facing is actually the segmentations of the one who's going to spend chocolate or confectionery category is the one you can see below. You can see in Indonesia, I call it alay. The teenage between 15 to 25 or even more with their a low income and then affordability. That's the problems. And distribution goes to the premium outlets. That's the problem that what Ferrero faced. So we did a lot of researches and do segmentations on five W and one H, who, what, where, when, why, how. The problems is Ferrero want to go to targeting teen and adult with big purchase power, but then again, it didn't meet the Indonesian market. So we need to target productive parents because they want to spend for kids, 25 to 50 years old. So what? Then again, we need to target it and to specifically, targeting the consumers in Indonesia. We need to entertain kids. We need to enjoy good chocolate, and they more play creative games. So where before it was a premium outlet, then we need to go to the biggest channel, which is the mini market convenience. So when directly, how? Definitely, it's the matters of uh, we need to find and have a good partnership with a good distributors. So we decided that Kinder Joy is the red SKU instead of Ferrero Rocher because it goes directly to children, and parents definitely cannot deny that their kids want something, then they have to buy about it. So those study case come to a conclusion that we need to find a good distributors that could be our best partner to go to, because from previously it was only very premium brands and limiting themselves in premium outlets. Now with our new distributor and having muscles, we can go to the biggest mini market that we have. Previously, we have a huge cost of doing business and low volume. Then we go to the best partner, then we can reduce the cost of doing business by their corporate muscles. So all of those points and creating, those segmentations, but then again, it creates volume for us to grow. So we can go to Indonesia with a face. You cannot go directly having all numerical distributions, but you need to have a face. At the beginning phase, yes, we introduce or we do pipeline for Kinder Joy, but then those create and fueling growth for us for making a next phasing. The next phase is going to be, having more and own entity in Indonesia and create more equivalent product that suits Indonesian market. So from 30% to 85% to 99% is can be achieved within 3 years. And in a year itself, by doing segmentation in road to market, from 80 billion business, it's becoming 400 billion business in matters of years. So that's very important to understand the Indonesian complexities and having a route to market. In the future, of course, there is a lot of features involved, like Alex mentioning all of the omni-channel retailings. But that's then again, it's gonna be a next phase. But you have to have the basics in Indonesian for route to market. I think that's it from my side, Abhishek.
Interesting. Quite in depth with that Ferrero case study. I'm sure that's quite beneficial to for the audience as well to sort of grasp what exactly you're saying. Charlie, just chiming into you. Any thoughts on that question as well that you'd like to mention?
Yeah, thanks, Abhishek, Alex, and Papras for sharing. I think one of the key things that have been started riding the wave is also about how consumers in Indonesia has already shifted to be more concerned about sustainability, right? So most of the people say, I think most, the target customer now have shifted, right? Most of it will be millennials right now, and then Gen Z soon, very Gen Z soon. So I think based on the researchers and all the stuff that I've received as well in terms of the data we went through, I think 56% of Indonesians actually are no more aware about that, right? They prefer to actually spend some more bucks just to purchase the products that actually aligns with their values in terms of, say, social impact or environmental impact. So I think that's also one trend that FMCGs, of course, CPG companies can also look into, especially if you have a premium products within your portfolio. Yeah, so totally agree with what Alex shared, with Patra shared. I think that's here to stay. But I think one of the stuff that this in terms of changing the mindset that we now would like to purchase something that does not contain my environment, even worse, right? So that's also one thing that we look into as the future. Thanks, Abhishek.
No, quite valid. That does people actually don't mind spending a little bit more to buy something that aligns with their values. That's definitely a shift that even we've been seeing in the market. And based on that, wanted to relate that also, right? Gathering all of this data, and Kishore, maybe this would be something you can answer, right? How do you see the IT infrastructure, right, of that these brands have, adapting to this shopper behavior and matching this evolving requirement of route to market strategies, especially in Indonesia, right? And we're talking about really that digital transformation aspect of it. Could you maybe chime in on that and let us know your thoughts on that?
Quite a great question, Abhishek. Thanks for that. I think somewhere around Alex, Pras, and Charlie have already touched down the points on that. Just going on in depth, as you initially started with, like, Indonesian geography is very complex and it is very unique in itself. Like having 17,000 islands, the route to market is very complex. Now, why it is complex? It's due to its demography, being island to island, and the routes are mixes of land routes, sea routes, right? So Indonesia is largely a general trade market with growing with modern trade as well as e-com, what the Charlie and Alex has already touched down on that part. But still, we see that in current, the general trade market is quietly large in Indonesia. Okay. Now, in Indonesia, there is an what we talk about like the diverse Indonesian market. Both local and international brands are fiercely competing for their to have a market share, right? Now, when we talk about the route to market strategies being applied by maybe an IT side towards, what we see that a lot of brands to stay competitive, they are refining their go to market strategies. Okay, recognizing the sustainable workforce. Like when we see talk about sustainable workforce, we see that a lot of CPG brands are deploying around 500 to 1,000 people in the market on daily basis. Okay, now when they deploy this fleet on street, they need to have a right set of tools in their hands uh, to understand the more often consumer behavior. Now, how it helping them out is whether it can help them by providing right tools to increase their productivity, effectiveness, accurate calls, real-time visibility of their targets, right? The data, what they have it. This indirectly will help them to drive in-store executions. This is what I believe it. When we talk about this was on the fleet on street side. When I talk about brand side, what I largely see that brands having a stronger and advanced analytics tool, having a market intelligence capability will enhance companies to understand and analyze properly what actually a consumer or a shopper wants, right? This behavior based on maybe like what products to be launched in the market, what is actually the customer its need in the, what is the actual demand from the market. Based on that, I think a lot of market strategies can be analyzed by having a right set of data. Now, this can also have a lot of other things like route optimization, auto replenishment system, enabling the distributor to optimize their basically like reduce their distribution costs or timely delivery. Also, the right set of products available, whether the right product is available or not. So this basically going to help the brands, this help them to understand how consumers are changing and are looking for different assortment and different baskets is what all I can say for this particular thing, Abhishek.
No, completely agree with that. Interesting. Charlie, since you're also quite well known for tech in this space, can you also maybe chime in on this question and sort of share your thoughts on that?
Yeah, sure. I think the main drivers actually for all of these things are how our population is very big in a sense, right? So You can say we might not be able to gather tertiary sales data in which you get who actually purchased. Maybe someone underage is actually purchasing a product, for example. So for me, from what I've seen and what experience as well, the infrastructure definitely have to tailor how it can be fit or optimized for mobiles, right? For mobile platforms. So if we need to change, for example, like needing as simple as Salesforce automation. A few years back, you cannot really install it somewhere else apart from your tablet, which is very big, very troublesome for the reps to carry. Now we can bring it into mobile, right? And also say e-commerce. There is also a particular reasons why most of the CPG brands don't use their own e-commerce platform, and they source it somewhere, or they partner with someone else to actually deliver the e-commerce business. It's simply because e-commerce have to had sort of like a speed into the market that allows scalability, which we simply don't have because when it comes to CPG Indonesia's first thing, in terms of IT spend, we are really lagging behind even ASEAN counterparts because Indonesia is normally not the hub. Malaysia is the hub normally, Singapore is the hub, but Indonesia is not the hub, while we have the most people to cater into, right? Secondly, in terms of driving innovations across the globally as well, CPG is not the main leader. We are more of like the lean, sort of like lean adopters. So only when it stabilizes enough, then we get into trying those new things. Hence, this is why this advanced analytics mentioned by Kishore is something that we are also looking at. And the main important thing is how we can provide those analytics real time to our reps, who is actually doing the execution on the ground, to actually help them, taunts them every day to actually deliver what is needed to actually achieve their target, which will flourish them, not us, right? Flourish not just the company, but also themselves to get the target, to get the achievement, and then, of course, the incentive that everyone is looking after, right? So I think those kind of things, scalability is one thing that we are adopting. Although Indonesian can also work on our internet speed, totally beaten by far. That's one. And second is also how all of this infrastructure actually tailors to mobile, being friendly, mobile friendly to all the users, because internet is not that fast. Internet is also a scarcity in some part of the world, in Indonesia, I mean. And then how we can enable those offline things while still delivering values is also one thing that we try to adopt on. Back to you, Abhishek.
Yeah, no, interesting. Yeah, like you said, internet for sure is a challenge, something that we've seen in a lot of places. Alex wanted to, chime back. Sorry, yeah, Alex wanted to sort of chime back with you as well on this same point, right? Expanding. Wanted to know maybe some of the technological innovations that you have also seen businesses exploring, right? With your large scale of involvement with a lot of businesses to really even enhance that real-time visibility, right? If internet is an issue, how can sort of brands have that real-time visibility, especially with 17,000 islands, and sort of reduce their cost to serve? Any thoughts on that? Yeah.
Yeah, basically, I think you need to at least let me touch on-shelf availability as basically the key metric that we're tracking. Yeah, so in essence, you make trading terms basically with modern retailers. Let's focus on that segment for a moment. That's the offline modern retailers basically. So you agree, okay, you're in 10,000 stores, you make a beautiful plan at the start of the year, and the purchase orders start flowing. But because 17,000 islands, let's say on average, I think there should be somewhere between 30, 50 distribution points minimum in order to cover most of the country, population centers. So to get the stock you need in the right place at the right time is a challenge, has been a challenge in the past. We've come a long way, obviously, from where people were working very manual. Now we have a lot of systems actually that take away that human error basically, or the human factor here. But I mean, why is it so important? Because let's say I'm thirsty, I'm going into a shop, I want to buy my brand of soda, for example, and it's not there. So am I going to buy two tomorrow because today it wasn't there? No, because today I'm thirsty, maybe tomorrow I'm thirsty too, but I'm also just going to buy one. So OOS, yeah, out of stock, is actually lost sales. So I mean, I'm there to pose that statement basically. So the way we actually see it, I mean, currently my company Uvit, the gummy vitamin company, basically, we use solutions from Bison, basically. One for field team marketing. So this is actually field marketing team, sorry, to check the on-shelf availability. So we have really real-time data from every store visit, where we can see, hey, this is actually not right. It's not the way we agreed it in the in the store. And this is another solution, basically, stock management for distributors. So in essence, better forecasting to make sure the stock they need is actually in the right place, and not too much, not too little, just enough. Goldilocks principle, basically. So I mean, that's the challenge, because big stock build up in a distributor eats up working capital there. I mean, for everybody here, I can definitely recommend tools in those two categories, basically. So for all the listeners, basically.
Interesting. Appreciate the input as well. Pras, what about you? Any thoughts on the question? Since it's not visible, I'll maybe repeat it. Any sort of technological innovations that you are seeing businesses exploring to enhance that real-time visibility across all of the islands?
Yeah, 17,000 islands definitely a challenge for us. A lot of technologies can be, leveraged into route to market, like IoT, sensoring, blockchain technology, geospatial analytics, even advanced analytics and predictive modeling. But then again, we're not exposed to those advanced technology yet, I believe. And thus, we now having mobile technology and applications that could be applied in short terms. That application can enable real-time communication and collaborations, and among supply chain stakeholders, including suppliers, distributors, and customers. That's the simplest thing you can do. Those mobile apps can provide visibility into inventory levels, order status, and delivery schedules. Those allowing for faster decision making and responsiveness. So that's the simplest things to apply, for future of route to market in Indonesia. And then definitely collaborative platforms and ecosystems. It could bring together multiple stakeholders within the supply chain that can facilitating data sharing, collaboration, and innovations. So by participating in such ecosystems, business can leverage shared resources, insights, and capabilities to enhance visibility and reduce costs. That's what I'm thinking of, Abhishek.
Right. So on the similar end, I mean, there is a lot more to explore, but it's sort of get your basics right before you hit your IoTs and your AIs and MLs. Interesting.
Yeah.
Charlie, just chiming back to you, I know you did share a little bit about this in your previous answer as well, but any last thoughts on how or what really businesses are currently exploring, right? What sort of solutions are they exploring for that real-time visibility?
All right, thanks. I think two things here. First is definitely something that is close to my heart, which is Kishore mentioned earlier, is route optimization, right? Well, for us here at Reckitt, we have done it for 5 countries in ASEAN, and it has been really game changing in the sense that your reps will be able to go home earlier while still delivering more values per day that they are comparing and they're targeting about, right? And of course, when you reduce the working hours while still maintaining the same or more level of productivities, that's what we are trying to replicate because that's a success. And that's not only for our frontliners doing secondary sales, but also as Papras mentioned earlier, we also do it for our supply chain team, logistics and everything to have the products delivered to our, say, warehouses or our hub in a more timely manner less hassle and everything. But then if that's one thing, right? Because that will opens up not only us finding out which ghost stores are there in our coverage, which is something that's very common here. Same store with different name being put together. So that's one thing that we can identify out of it. Secondly, we also make sure that they are actually going to the stores in a right routing, right? Because most of the route initially was set up based on our understanding or the sales manager's understanding about the area. But technological fast changing, that's how we can help them leverage this kind of technology. And secondly, also same with what Alex mentioned about the out of stock. I think the other stuff that we can also track is again the e-commerce kind of thing. So we partner with a lot of e-commerce platform, and then of course we have the JBP with them, joint business plan with them, and everything. But then there is also something that we need to track in terms of what we agreed with them. Say, for example, in e-commerce A, for example, we agreed to have a slot per month, 5 times of say flash sale. But are they really giving us the five slots that they're promising, right? And then we built trackers to track that, to make sure that yes, we indeed have five. And are they putting it in zombie land, for example? They give us five, but they give us in the timing, the flash sale timing where everyone is actually sleeping, particularly sleeping. Hence, it's not really working well for us. So those two things is also something to keep in mind that we can leverage. And again, it's always tough to start in Indonesia for these two things because one, data is hard to find, data is hard to acquire at first. It just requires a good collaboration between functions, especially sales and IT. I think that's it, Abhishek.
Yeah, quite the point that you made, especially even with e-com, right? A lot of brands are really trying to crack that. Yeah, shifting a bit more to Kishore, wanted to also ask you and get your thoughts on some of the winning tech stacks, right? That you've seen some of Bizom's clients in Indonesia that they are sort of using and adapting to win in this market. And maybe if you could share a little bit of a use case, that would be great for the viewers to sort of relate.
Sure, Abhishek, on that. So when I talk about Bizom, it's been a pioneer application for being almost like a decade into this industry, working towards FMCG and CPG brands. Now, when I talk about like working for a decade, it hasn't a ready-made tool. When we talk about for everything, it's a one-stop solution for entire route to market. When it comes to Salesforce automation, distribution management system, merchandising tool, and whatnot, right? We are also like way ahead. Like we, as a company, we don't even believe like what is the current. We also have an ambitious and we have a product roadmap for next 5 years, right? When we talk about things, when we talk about route optimization, when we talk about auto replenishment system, these are something most when we see there is only like 10% of the brands have only deployed and have identified the proper use case. It still 90% there's an open market. We see that still people are not aware about what is the actual the output or the benefit they're gonna get, right? So this way we had already developed around 5 years back when we talk about route optimization or the auto replenishment systems, right? So in that we can understand that now this is going as a very catchy kind of like how the AI buzz is going on. The similarly the route optimization thing is working on the FMCG right now, but Bizom was already developed 5 years back. So that's how the advanced system it has been. When I talk about one-stop solution for entire route to market, it's like currently we see a lot of challenges in Indonesian market. Like brands try to have a different tool for merchandising, different tool for Salesforce automation, different tool for distribution management system, integrating and bringing into one single platform to have like to analyze and predict the data, maybe like to analyze what targets we need to keep for our sales team for the next month, next quarter, or maybe for an year, right? So that's been a very challenging it because we see sometimes any of the server may break or then there's a lag of data. The data will take around 24 hours to come on the single platform and they make the decision. Now, when we talk about in today's generation, 21st century, data coming in post 24 hours, it is like what I say is a huge drawback in this sector. All the data should be available real time because most of the brands are competing to have the market share, right? So we have to be agile, we have to be very fast, the right decision should be taken. All those things should be available at one single point of time. So that's the beauty of Bizom, having all the route to market tools at one single platform. Even the data, what we derive, whether it is a merchandising, Salesforce, distribution management system, all the data which is coming and available on single platform at real time, that's the beauty and helping a lot of brands. When I talk the case studies, what you have asked, right? When I talk about one of the brand, like maybe like let me talk about Alex Uvit thing only. What we have worked, like it's been like a quarter we have implemented Bizom in Uvit. What we saw, the first challenge there was that there was not proper routing system was available for the merchandising team. That had a lot of problem. Now, what was the problem we fixed along with the Uvit team was the universal count of the tokos what we talk was a good number of count, but the what we the coverage was very less. The coverage was only like 60%. We saw that as a first challenge. We addressed that to the team. Then we created a proper PJP plan that helped. Within a 2 months, we saw the turnaround. The coverage has increased from 60% to 98%, and PJP adherence also has increased drastically. Right now, this by changing this one KPI, it has increased in the sale of 20% of sale. What we have saw, right? So that's how the business has grown by just minuting one of the KPI with the help of the tool called Bizom, and 20% within a quarter. Then we can expect how the business can grow for like next coming years when we work along with the UVIT, right? We have a separate analytical team who works along with the analytical team or IT team of the branch. Now, similarly, if I talk about an one more case study is one of the agri camp, who is a larger brand. They have like national, not only in the Indonesian market, but they also work internationally, right? Now they have worked along with us in Indonesian market as an agri company. They usually work in the tier 2 cities when we talk about this, because they have to talk to the farmers, they have to talk to the tokotanis, and then there the main challenge is very difficult because the person working the tier 1 city, the manager working the tier 1 cities, what having an eye on a guy from tier 2 is very difficult because it is very cluttered way, right? So now how do we fix it? We have provided geofencing thing which have helped them uh, to cater it so that the particular person is rightly going visiting the right store, is he meeting to the right farmer or a right tokutanis. And they also have nomenclature that on an average they have to spend 2 hours to a specific store because it's in agriculture side. Now why 2 hours? Because they have to build a lot of relationship with the store owners to influence them, buy the products, understand the wallet share, and based on that one they have to influence it. So earlier the time spent at a store was only like, if you believe me or not, it was only 15 minutes to 18 minutes, right? Now after implementing Bizom, when we worked with them, we analyzed, we understood what were the challenges, we worked with their IT team, and we gave them the lot of feedbacks, and then they have worked upon that. Right now on an average time, there's the each person on an average, what we have checked for the last quarter was around 2 hours and 48 minutes, like going from 16 minutes to 2 hours and 48 minutes. And that has improved the 2x number of sales. So that's the some of the case studies which I can give it. The beauty of having the all the data at one single place, that's how it can be turn out the business, right? At the end, we have to increase the sale, just not only to we have to watch on the sales team or fleet on street members, right? At the end, it has to give us the best outcome in terms of the sales, is what I believe it. And those are some of the case studies. We have large more such more case studies in a lot more places, but keeping a time in mind, just sharing this too for right now.
Appreciate. I think if I ask Kishore for more case studies, we won't have time to finish the webinar. That's how long the stories go. But nice to have that insight from there, especially with UWIT and that bit of it as well. I'll shift over. Pras, I wanted to address a question to you as well. As to, based on all of that we have heard and that you have sort of shared, what advice do you have for businesses that are, trying to optimize and balance between, your traditional offline retail channels and also these emerging e-commerce channels, right? As all of us have sort of been mentioning in Indonesia specifically, what advice would you have for brands trying to tackle this?
Yeah, again, we need to understand the market dynamics, Abhishek. So, conducting through market research to understand the preferences, behaviors, and expectation of Indonesian consumers. That's the most important things. You need to gain insight into factors such as shopping habits, channel references, and willingness to engage with DTC brands versus traditional retail channel. So, and then you can do like segmentation and targeting. Segment your target audience based on factors such as demographics, psychographics, and shopping behaviors. Identify which consumer segments are more inclined towards traditional retail channels and which segments are open to DTC approaches, and tailor our marketing and distribution strategy accordingly. So those points will emphasize on the some advice. So then I'm just going to add another point that is important is build strong partnerships. So forge strategic partnership with traditional retailers, distributors, and e-commerce platform to expand your reach and distribution networks. That could be, you know, collaborate with key players in the industry to ensure optimal placement of your products in brick and mortar stores, while also exploring opportunities in DTC sales. That's the important things that I might share with you. So with following those pieces of advice might be optimize the balance between traditional retail channels and emerging DTC approaches in the Indonesian market, and whilst maximizing the reach, sales, and competitiveness. I would say.
Okay, nice, nice. So quite interesting advice that you have there, Alex. How about yourself? What would you think would be some advice from your experience for brands to sort of balance both your traditional and your emerging channels?
Yeah, let me touch on the, let's say, the practical points actually that are, let's say, from a company internal point of view, basically here. So normally inside, let's say, most Indonesian FMCG companies, most FMCG companies in the world probably, is like traditional retail has been, let's say, the core sales team. So that's still the biggest contributor. Then online sales is was added at a later stage. So let's face it, in Indonesia especially, I think maybe it's even just 5-6 years ago that actually most large FMCG companies started to take online channels seriously. So if you look at doing, like joint business planning or trading terms, and the volume became significant enough to actually matter, or to put someone, let's say, to manage it, to key account manage it, basically. Now, because of this split, there is a potential conflict of interest, basically, inside most FMCG companies, where you have competing sales divisions. Now, in essence, a bit of rivalry is inherent to to sales divisions. It's never a bad thing, but I mean, in some cases, especially because offline and online starts to blur, you have people who have a store and then actually they do 90% of their volume online. So the offline sales team is actually serving them, and the online it's clocks online sales, basically. So what is what, and you get a lot of problems, especially I guess in 2023 when the bottom fell out of the e-commerce market, basically. You have a lot of friction actually inside the company. So I think the core element here is basically, so retail, I would say always, it was one of my first customers in the Netherlands, actually. It must be 30 years ago now. He said, my shop is not made of elastic, so basically, or it's not an elastic band, basically, so you can't just fill it with everything. So retail is basically limited. Long tail is actually what happens online. So like the items that, like our range items basically. So flavors that you normally wouldn't find anywhere else, or very limited, something you want to build up. Mostly the new products that you want to trial. Maybe there's an online exclusive or something like that. But the core of it is actually the balance between pricing. So you have normally these online resellers. They are, let's say, offline to online resellers. Basically, they are served with a joint business plan, which is actually, in essence, plain English, it's we give them a sizable discount, which they use to undercut the the official store online. Now, I think a pricing policy, or at least treatment, you say, look, are we going to accept that? Is that actually our company strategy, or are we really clinging on to the fact that we really need to keep our own official stores, basically, on the various e-commerce platforms? Being the first go-to channel, basically. So the way I see it is like, online retailers are just like supermarkets, where you actually say, okay, you go to store A, store B, store C. They can actually be the cheapest with something every single week. So you take that product this week, you take the other product that week, basically. Treat it a bit like a modern trade outlet, but everybody wants to have 50 minutes of fame, and wants to be the cheapest online. Because this is the last thing I'm going to say about it, because if you now are going to Jakarta and you say, oh, I want to check the prices in 7 supermarkets, I think about 5-6 hours on the way in a car. It's quite a big city to check, in all the flavors of supermarkets here. Online, I think it's 2 minutes and you're done. So, it's easy to compare, therefore dangerous, I think. So, and of course, I think as Pras already said, strong partnerships with channel partners, or these offline retailers are your channel partners because you started with them. If you are cannibalizing their sales basically by doing a lot of discounts online, and then really mainly discounts and not so much the more innovative activities, you're definitely going to damage those relationships. So it's going to be very hard to please these people. So you still need them because, like I said, it's maybe 99.5% of the market is still offline. So in that sense, I'm stopping here, and I'll leave the rest to the other 2 gentlemen in the forum.
Just no. So very, very practical advice by Alex, right? Especially with the checking of price, right? So that's something that is quite common. Pras, you wanted to add something on that line with
Yeah,
profitability, right?
interesting what Alex just mentioned, that again, some practical advice that I've been experienced in Ferrero as well for Kinder Joy. It was very painful with some distributors who distributing only premium brands. That's why the cost of doing business is very huge. But then again, when I shifted to dairies distributors only, with they consisting on juices, dairy, frozen meat, frozen foods, and everything, because they have those muscles. And I cancel all those trading terms like Alex just mentioned and join their trading terms. Those simply, giving us a lot of rooms to improve the profitability. Just to mention, it was above 20, becoming only 5%. That's huge improvement. So that kind of tips can be taken as well for the some brands to improve their route to market and profitability. Thank you, Abhishek.
Yeah. Okay. Nice cover end to sort of that question with the profitability bit. We'll move on to our last question for the day. This will be to all 3 of you, maybe Alex, Pras, and then Charlie. You can sort of answer this and get your thoughts out. So, do you think it is important? I think Charlie also hinted at this, but do you think it's important to integrate mobile and cloud technologies in the sales and distribution system to ensure that scalability, flexibility, and also ensure your future disruptions, right? You can accommodate those in the ever changing sort of route to market landscape. So what do you think is your what are your thoughts, Alex? Then maybe Pras, And then Charlie, you already sort of hinted at this, but we can hear your final thoughts on that as well.
Yeah, basically, I think, like I said, we come a long way from the manual way of doing business, where you with pen and paper, basically, you go to a store and you take the order. That was replaced by PDAs. It's still a very closed system, basically. Now, of course, Indonesia has, I think, one of the largest handset penetrations of, or at least mobile phone penetrations of the world, basically. So, I mean, people here skipped the fixed phone line. I think only like 25-30% of the people here have a fixed phone line. So everybody ran straight to mobile at some point. So that is actually a very let's say a common technology. I think anyone has it, from an 80-year-old grandma to a kid of 4 or 5 years old these days. So I think making it more accessible, when you say, like, look, a lower cost way of interacting with the software, basically, or the cloud solution, basically, in this case, where you build something that is scalable. Especially, I think, in the past, I think, we have seen, it's a bit like game development, where everybody used to have their own engine, their own system, their own closed system, basically, and then at some point it's obsolete, and the company has to shed out a boatload of cash again to upgrade whatever they built back in 1988. But I mean, that's the thing that, in this case, I think, this is the future of I guess, software as a service in this case. So that would be my 2 cents.
Yeah, I'll pass this on to Charlie. Charlie also, sorry, Pras, maybe Charlie also wanted to hint a little bit about the e-com, the previous question as well. Over to you, Charlie. Both of them, your time.
Yeah. Sorry, Babras. Taking one step. So I think one key thing here is that when you consider between TT, traditional trade, and D2C, is that we can actually leverage the loyalty programs as well, for example, say. But that is also depending on the strategies of the companies, of course. Say, for example, why people now prefer, example, to shop in mini markets. The two most known mini market chains in Indonesia is because when you go there, you will get those points that you can then use when you come back to purchase again. So I think that's one thing that I think Bizom also has, which is something you can leverage as a company, is that you can actually have this retailer app, right, where they can purchase things directly to you in a sense, but then you will have some points allocated to you according to whatever you purchase, which then you can reuse again and such and such. Oh, so I thought there was a question, but I think those are my points here. That yes, you need to balance those, but we can also leverage some learnings from national mini markets, say national modern trade, other key chains that are leveraging loyalty programs to boost those kind of things, because you don't have that in traditional trade. That you can leverage in D2C, or you can combine it with it, right? So that will be just my 2 cents on the previous questions. But for these questions, Alex, is 220 million people with mobile phones right now out of 270 million, right? So I don't think we need to answer that, whether it's important or not for Indonesians. It is totally important. Even, for example, what I understand is one of the tobacco companies here, the reps are using SFA in not a smartphone. Imagine that, how they have started that. Simply because they want to cater with their reps, demographic. Those are who are, bit slower, not all, but generally a bit slower when adopting a new technologies. So they just, okay, I'll just push my SFA into not a smartphone, a mobile phone that the 3310 Nokia, whatever, those kind of things. It works. They sell their products. That's what we need, right? Not the fancy AI buzzword that we try to incorporate roughly, but does not really produce the results that we need. So I think to answer the last questions, of course, it is very important. And the other important part, apart from the mobile technologies itself, is that the capability of bringing this offline when required. So it cannot be something that needs to be connected to internet all the time. because again, that penetration is very low, 3.6% for us out of those 240 million. What? Nobody will be able to sell properly if you cannot. But I think most of the systems for sales and distribution are allowing offline connections for some features, which is already fine, supporting us. So that's what we need. It's very important. Of course, cloud will be providing us with better scalability and flexibility when it comes to adjustment. Again, we have a lot of things, a lot of island to cover, unlike our neighbors, right? So that will be my answer for the last one. Sorry, Pak Pras, taking your turn.
It's okay.
Yeah, Pras,
Yeah, I mean,
over to you.
yeah. Just elaborate on the Charlie's and Alex point that yeah, definitely. I mean, who can deny those kind of things? I mean, it's a future proof. By investing in mobile and cloud technology, definitely companies future proof their sales and distribution system against obsolescence. Right? These technologies are continuously evolving with new features and functionalities. But in summary, integrating mobile and cloud technologies into sales and distribution system is very essential. I mean, you know, it's empower businesses to operate more efficiently, serve customer better, right, and stay ahead of our competitions in a rapidly evolving Indonesian market environment. So, I mean, yeah, we need it.
Interesting, interesting. Yeah, valid points from all sides. I think we have a couple of questions from the audience, maybe one or two before we end. And I can list one. Whoever wants to answer can sort of answer. We have one who is asking Alex, what's your perspective on Indonesia being positioned as the next booming market? I mean, Alex, and then if anybody else has any thoughts, feel free to add in.
Sorry, there was a bit of a lag in the signal. Can you repeat your question, please?
No problem. So, Mohit is asking you, what's your perspective on Indonesia being positioned as one of the next booming market, right? In the coming years, what's your thoughts on that? Do you actually see that happening? And any thoughts on that?
Yeah, I think I'm very optimistic about that perspective. I mean, Indonesia is. I mean, it's not as big as India, obviously, but I think we are basically on track to be the fourth most populous country in the world by, no, was it 2030? I forgot the exact timeline, but yeah, fast growing middle class. I think very consumptive. So you need, I'm not going over all the all the metrics here, but I mean, yes, I definitely have an optimistic perspective on this. The interesting thing about Indonesia as well is that you still don't have the retailer concentration that you have in Europe or the US. So the principle, as especially the FMCG companies, are still having wielding the power basically in this country. So not that it's easy, but I mean, if you deal with Walmart or like in my country, the Netherlands, basically, where there are like maybe two buying groups left, where everybody has to knock on the same door. Yeah, that is too much power in one in one retailer or one buying group. So Indonesia still has a wonderful ecosystem where you basically say, like, I think between 2 and 5 million traditional trade stores, nobody has counted them or bothered to count them, and I think somewhere like 50,000 supermarkets, mini markets. Could be 40,000 as well, but I mean, yeah, it's quite fragmented. So that is actually a good thing for new brands actually entering, and people still wanting to conquer the world, so to speak. My 2 cents.
Yeah, I mean, definitely, even quite a positive outlook and backed by data. So, anybody else, Charlie, Pras, any thoughts on that question?
For
If
me, Indonesia has
yeah,
always been posed as that since I joined the company or joined the business ever since, right? So it is going to be, but somehow it just keep growing that we don't have the speed to catch up with the growth. That we will keep saying that Indonesia is a land of growth, right? It's a what is that, Maroon Ocean? Is it fine to use Maroon Ocean instead of Red Ocean? So I think Maroon Ocean is fine. We have opportunities that what Alex mentioned. We still have that strong and nice ecosystem in terms of buying groups. We just need to leverage, and the rivalries is very fierce. I'm being the one not going to the markets directly, but of course heard from the sales counterpart that it is a really sort of like what, Amazon River, where you have a lot of piranhas ready to take your business whenever you're not really catering to those kind of requests or growth. So I think it is a booming market for sure. Maybe not this year, maybe next few years, but it will still be there.
Indeed. One another question. Maybe we'll have just two more. But what this is again open to anybody. Pras, if you'd like, you can also pick this up. This is again a rehash. How do you see digital and e-commerce, that live streaming trend in traditional stores in Indonesia market? How do you see that progressing? I think they're talking a little bit about the live stream or maybe your TikTok shop, if I'm not wrong. So any thoughts on that that the panel has?
Yeah, I can add some point on that one. Well, yeah, definitely rapid internet penetration in Indonesia, has experienced a significant increase, and particularly driven by the widespread adoption of smartphone, definitely, right? So this changed a lot in terms of landscape of our markets. Previously, the rapid growth of mini market is changing our perspective on route to market. And nowadays, you can go to TikTok, and definitely people are buying everything starting in TikTok, starting from the price only 1,000 rupiah. So that's crazy. I mean, yeah, it will involve as well. I mean, it will definitely change a lot. But then again, the brand should adapt, and the adaptability and the agility of the brand itself, it needs to be, ensure that the market will still be there, and we need to be at the market. So that's my point, Abhishek.
Yeah,
If I
just
may,
to
may jump
Go
in.
on. Yeah.
Sorry, you
sorry.
want to ask Kishore?
Yeah,
No,
sure.
go on. Go on.
Go on,
Let-
Alex. Maybe then I can add up.
Yeah. Sorry, who's going first?
You can go, Alex.
Oh, okay, sorry. Basically, yeah, my perspective on it is this. So I agree with Papras with regards to the basically what he mentioned. Our findings with, let's say, the live streams, basically, I think it has a deeper root cause, basically, why it's so successful. Because you look at some point with the advent of the big influencers. I think big influencers are a bit a thing of the past. Like I mean, with all due respect, but every time you see Raffi Ahmad push a product, then you think, okay, so there's his product number, 124 or something that he's pushing. I mean, he's a very successful guy and very entertaining and all those things, but people are not running to a store or buying it basically on a live stream. I think because a big influencer, they know this guy will be paid for it or this lady will be paid for it. The trend we've seen, I mean, this is also some actual qualitative research actually at the basis, is that people are more relying these days on recommendations from friends. So basically, let's say your friend has used a product or your friend is buying a product. So currently this TikTok shop basically, or you're talking about maybe Shopee Live basically. So it allows you, me, anyone basically to open a live stream, sell, and you have a circle of friends and family basically that is watching this, who trust you, who love to tune in. So there's not talking millions, but I mean, if enough people actually are selling these things online, and your products online, basically, or certain products online, and then indeed price is also very important, Papras, that I agree with that. Very, very cheap products in some cases. it's a different experience. I think this is more like a recommendation from a friend rather than, hey, this big celebrity is actually pushing the product he or she gets, a billion rupiah for to actually push. So this is something we've seen in our brand health tracker basically at UVID as well. That this sort of thing is it's the trend actually that started last year, I think. So anyone planning to spend billions on big influencers, think again. Basically, that's my 2 cents here.
Yeah, Kishore, you had a couple of thoughts.
Yeah, just adding what Alex and Prasetya said, just adding some humor to it. What I have seen the trend in Indonesia, like I'll be just walking around and I see that the age group people, right? Like when I talk about Gen Zs, not about Gen Zs. When we talk about the age people, just keeping everyone's age as just as side gap and forgetting everyone's age over here. But what I've seen in the market, like when I walk on the street, the age group of people, like 45 to 70 people, they use more TikTok than what actually Gen Zs and what the people they use it. And any advertisements coming on that is influencing them more, right? And they are buying more products from the e-com platform than compared to Gen Zs and what I talk about adults. So that also is helping the brands to have the visibility in the market.
Interesting observation, actually. Yeah, maybe some of us can test that out as well. Okay, last question. I think this is for Charlie. This is from John. He's asking you, what is the adoption for retailer app in Indonesia, especially in the FMCG segment? I think this is more of your B2B sort of e-commerce retailer app. So John is asking you, what is the adoption rate that you seen in Indonesia?
To be honest, it will be still very low, but Kishore or you can correct me for Bizom's retailer app. I'm talking about my retailer app. It was high when it was COVID period. Yeah, but now it has go down as mentioned. We are more on relationship building kind of business, even across ASEAN as well. So it goes back to rep visiting the store so that they can, talk a little bit, talk about the business, talk about themselves, and they get some added values to the basket size that they are trying to get, right? So it was on all-time high, you can say, during COVID period, but now it has gone down because we have gone back to the markets, and then as mentioned, people are now looking at more of omni-channel kind of experience. So they probably search the product first in the platform, and then okay, let me just go to the store, try it out, buy it, and then I think that will be the answer for the adoptions itself, John.
Yeah, appreciate it. I think that's it for our questions. Wanted to thank you, Charlie, Alex, Pras, and Kishore again for answering these questions for the audience. It's been quite amazing to learn from you today. Some great strategies, some techniques, and also a little bit about technology, right? That is driving success in the RTM space today. Would love to thank the audience as well for joining in and for asking questions, interacting. I think we had quite a good session. A lot of people attending from all over the world, not just Indonesia, and probably would have gained some nuggets here and there from what you said. Right now on your screen, we should be putting up a QR code, right? If at all you have any other questions or queries that you want to answer or want to sort of connect with us, you can just scan that and it'll redirect you to a link. Alternatively, if for some reason this isn't working, you can just maybe go on bizom.com and maybe request for a demo or just pop in a request and we'll get back to you. Thank you once again. Thank you to the panel, Alex, Charlie, Pras, and Kishore for answering the questions. And we hope you had a fruitful discussion and sort of an insightful session that you can take back with you. Until next time, until our next webinar, great to have everyone. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Right.